Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Chuck Graham Show. We've got a lot to get into today. My show today is going to be about our flag, Mississippi's flag, the only flag that, still has the Confederate battle flag in it. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Okay. So let's just give you some figures here, right? Mississippi has about 2.9 million people in it, right? Somewhere around there. And our African American or black population is 47.4%. Think about that for a second. 47.4%. Now, there was only roughly around 700,000 people voted in this referendum back in 2001. And out of those people that voted, and that's no fault of anybody's but their own, if everybody that could vote voted, that we would have a whole different perspective on elections. But for whatever reason, lazy ass people that want to shout and scream to the rooftops don't even think about going to vote. All right, with that said, my little rant. Proposition A was to keep the flag and its Confederate battle flag in it. Proposition B was a new design for the flag. Now, 494,323 people voted to keep the flag. 273,359 people voted on the new design. That's 64.39% of the population of Mississippi voted to keep the flag. Now, that tells me a lot. That tells me you had quite a few black people that voted to keep that flag. And the reason I know is because, we're almost equally populated in Mississippi. There's just as many number of blacks in Mississippi as there are whites. Again, 47.3, I think is what I said, percent of the people. So my point being is this. If you don't like our flag, don't live here. But it's staying. I don't know. It's been 19 years ago. They're coming for it. They're coming for the flag, folks. And just like they're coming for the statues and all the things that represented anything to do with the South, we are in a race culture. I mean, if they don't like it, they want to do away with it. Everything's offensive. But yet nobody says nothing about all the violence and the looting and the things that are going on in this country. I think Candace Owens said it best when she said that black Americans make up 14% of the population. That's not a whole lot of folks. Okay? And there are parts of this country that have no population of black people. Most of it is in, it's in the South where we're at. But she also touched on, and she's actually black. If you hadn't looked up her channel, I like listening to her. But she also stated that 44% of the crime is committed by blacks. And if you look at the looting and rioting and stuff like that going on, you have white people in there too. But the majority of it is the hijacking by Antifa of the message that originally started about Black Lives Matter. Let me tell you something, folks. All lives matter. Black Lives Matter is a wretched organization. They're Marxists. They believe in all sorts of illegals voting. They're anti-capitalist. And they don't make any bones about it either. They don't sit here and say, hey, it's just the way it is. They are. It's that simple. And the fact is these people are organizing to take our flag. And here's the thing, we're way past that. Is there systemic racism in this country? No. Sorry, no. Look at people like Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington, Don Lemon at CNN. You got so many successful, but way more successful than I am. And I think that's, I can't even say it. Systemic racism is swinging the pendulum the other way, if I can speak correctly. In other words, you've got reverse discrimination going on right here in this country. And I will tell you right now, I will never, ever apologize for being white. Ever. I won't shine your damn shoes, nor will I apologize for anything that's happened in the past. Why? Because it wasn't my damn fault. You wanna blame somebody for slavery? Blame Africa. They're the ones that sold the slaves to the slave traders. It's not like they went over there and captured them. And that's a total misconception. Now, a lot of people actually believe that they went over there and stole these people. And it was brought to my attention yesterday that the Irish slave trade, all white people, were cheaper to purchase than Africans. So it was much more a larger, and look it up. If you don't believe me, look it up. Much larger slave trade than African slaves. And they were cheaper. Africans were more expensive. Now get that for a second. If you want to blame someone, blame the tribe that sold your ancestors to the slave traders. But we're way beyond a flag, right? I mean, this is way beyond just symbolism. Do I believe in taking down the statutes? No. We've got one right in front of our courthouse that they're trying to take down. Now, if the local government wants to take it down and they vote on it, so be it. But giving in to all these demands from the loudest voice is really detrimental to our country. And if you want to stop the racism, and this is not the way to do it. I'm not a supporter of any of that stuff. I'm damn sure not a supporter of Black Lives Matter. And if Amazon had a competitor, I'd never order anything from them again. That was any way, shape, or form as good a service as Amazon, I'd never order from them again. I hate that company. And it's always when you become $100 billion and you're the richest man on earth, now you start your philanthropy and everybody should agree with your position. Well, everybody doesn't agree. This is America. When someone tells you that you have to agree with them, that's submission. That's not unity. That's submission. And that's something I'll never do. Right or wrong, whether my opinions are right or wrong, is another thing. But I mean, if you're going to fight racism and you want this, you want to get on your horn and beat your drum and all that about oppression, then you need to know where it comes from. And I'm not saying that the slave trade was right. It wasn't. It's awful. Awful for the people. It was awful for the Irish. There was way more Irish sold in the slave trades in those time periods than Africans. But you need to know where it comes from. And there's no way, shape, or form that the slave traders are going to go and steal these people. Those Africans would have killed the hell out of those those slave traders if they would have tried to take those Africans, because you got one tribe against another tribe. The losing and non-prevailing tribe of the war that they were in were the ones that ended up getting sold off to slavery. It was more productive for them to sell them than it was to keep them in captivity. And that in and of itself is awful. I'm not advocating for any kind, but let me tell you something else too. It is 2020. And if you think that we don't have slave trading right now, this very moment going on, you are kidding yourself. They just named it a different thing. It's called human trafficking. They don't call it slave trading. It's called human trafficking. You've got kids, women, men. You've got all sorts of slave trading going on right now. Where's the outrage? Well, there isn't any, because it doesn't fit people's agenda. See, folks, this thing that's going on now with the looting and the protest and all, this has nothing to do with George Floyd. This has to do with the total annihilation of America as you know it, from within. These people that are anarchist and anti-capitalist do not care about this country. They want it to end up in rubble and ruins, because they see people that have money as the enemy. We know those people sacrifice stuff. They weren't lazy ass people going out and protesting anti-capitalism. They actually were trying to build something, and supply and demand ended up making them very wealthy. Who cares? If you're a billionaire, you know what I think? You know how much money's enough? And I'm not even a millionaire. But you know how much money's enough? Just a little bit more. If you can make it, make it. If you can build it, build it. And if they'll buy it, sell it. That's the way I see it. And all you Antifa rioting folks that think that this is the way, you're going to keep on. And I'm not advocating violence by no means, but I'm going to tell you something. You're going to keep on, and you're not going to like the results of it. Because there are people sitting right out in the shadows that are getting fed up with this. And what you don't want is the defund of the police. Because who's going to fill that void? Armed vigilantes. And you're not going to like that at all. And it's asinine to think about defunding the police anyway. You know what's so funny is that I saw one of the videos of the Antifa protest and the rioters, and one of their members got hurt. And this is what he screamed out. Call 911. Really? You screamed out. You're sitting here protesting the damn police. And you're rioting and looting and breaking in windows. And when one of your people gets hurt, obviously a friend of his, you scream out, call 911. Well, you just can't make this shit up. Now, again, I'm not advocating any kind of violence on anybody. I think peaceful protest is very healthy in this country. But when you're looting and rioting and hurting people and raping and pillaging and shooting, well, then your stupid ass needs to go to jail. There is no sense in that kind of behavior. And you know what I think it's contributed to? A lack of spanking. You entitled fuckers that grew up in your mom's basement and probably are still living there. Think that you're just entitled to everything. Look, this is not your mama's house. This is the real world. And I hope that I forget what her name was, the girl that got caught committing a bunch of those arsons, I hope that her ass stays in jail for 30 years. And that'll teach her. 20 years from now, she'll be like, oh, God. Probably a year from now, she'll be going, oh, God, I made a terrible mistake. Well, tough shit. You destroyed people's lives and businesses. And look, if black lives actually mattered to these people, they wouldn't be burning down black-owned businesses or killing black people or shooting black cops or retired black cops. Tired of it, folks. I don't mean to rant, but the fact of the matter is, if you're going to have a protest and you want somebody to pay you reparations, you better look at the source of how this all started. And I think that the hundreds of thousands of white Americans that died during the Civil War, payment in full. Payment in full, folks. Just tired of it. Just fed up. I see it every day on the news. And all I see is a bunch of entitled, bratty ass kids protesting something they don't even believe in. And if you go out and you interview them, they don't even know what the hell they're protesting. George Floyd, tragedy. Awful. Brooks shouldn't have shot a deadly weapon at the police. Simple as that. But make no mistake, Floyd was no angel, and he damn sure doesn't deserve to be a martyr. He got out in 2014 from a robbery stint where he held a damn loaded weapon to a woman's pregnant belly while him and his crew robbed her damn house. So Floyd was no martyr. And I can assure you that black woman is not on the bandwagon for George Floyd. Now, regardless of what George Floyd did in his past, didn't deserve what happened to him. That was a tragedy, and those officers need to go to prison if convicted. But they better be careful not to ask for too much, because our judicial system is set up in a way that makes it the sole responsibility for the prosecution to prove their case. So at this point, they're presumed innocent until proven guilty. And the worst thing you can do as a prosecutor is start asking for too much that doesn't fit. These guys need to be in jail, every one of them. So we'll see. And folks, I'm going to tell you, again, I said it was going to be about the flag, but yeah, they're coming for it. They're coming for the Mississippi flag. You can bank on it. And most likely, well, Tate Reeves, our governor, said they voted on it, not changing it. And I think unless they overwhelmingly vote in our legislature to remove it, I think Tate Reeves will veto it. But eventually they're going to get it, because eventually there's going to be a Democratic governor again in this country. In this state. So I don't see a problem with the flag. And even coming up as a kid in the 80s, I didn't have a racist bone in my body. And listening to Hank Williams Jr. and the rebel flag, it never dawned on me as a kid in the 80s that somehow was a racist symbol. It was, to me, a Southern symbol, but it never dawned on me about it being a racist symbol. It was a battle flag. You had a civil war in this country that ended. And the South kept some of its Southern heritage, so to speak. But there was a lot more to the Civil War than just slavery, too. It wasn't just all about slavery, but I'll go into that later. In slavery, I want to end by saying slavery is awful for anyone involved, whether it be white or black. But my point is, it wasn't just black people that were enslaved. You had white people that had to deal with that too, and were bought and sold like a commodity. And I read that article from a good friend of mine, and she she posted it about the Irish, and I thought to myself, wow, there was more Irish people bought and sold than there were Africans. And economically speaking, they were cheaper. That's why there was more of them bought and sold. And it's amazing to me that when people talk about slavery, the only thing their go-to is black people. What about the women that are bought and sold every day in this country? What about the human trafficking? The children that are bought and sold? The sweatshops that still exist right now for immigrants to work off their charge for someone to get them over to this country. This stuff still exists, people. How about this? Here's a novel idea. How about that we concentrate on the current slavery that's going on in this country and eradicate it, rather than my great-great-great-grandfather was a slave. So what? You can't take a child that spills milk Sunday morning and then the next Friday continually harp on the fact that he spilt milk and think that anything is going to change except he is going to resent the hell out of you. My point being is this: the only way to heal this country is to quit talking about the past. Educate people about the past. Black history is American history. If you're black and you live in this country and you're a citizen, you're an American with the same fundamental and inalienable rights of every citizen in this country. And you deserve the opportunity for anything or to accomplish whatever it is, your goals and dreams and hopes, and it's your right under our Constitution. Now, was America perfect? No. When they founded the Constitution, that was one of the things that they were so divided on, was slavery. And even then, there were multiple founding fathers that opposed it. But they compromised. And then as time went on, they abolished it. But let's not forget that slavery still exists, people. When you go down, say, one of the avenues in your town, if you live in a big city, okay, let's say Hollywood Boulevard, and you see those girls selling ass for a profit, you're witnessing slavery because they have a pimp that controls them. And think about that for a second. That girl, young girl, is being enslaved by some piece of shit pimp. Where's your outrage? Where's your protest? There are none. She's not willingly in that situation. She's either being controlled by either force, drugs, or that's the only way she knows how to make a living that will support her drug habit. Now, I know that a lot of times those women are willingly in those situations, but there are quite a few, and I know I just contradicted myself, there are quite a few that are not willingly in that situation. A lot of those that you see are forced into those situations. And I'm going to leave it there. If you like the show, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and until next time in the next show, God bless you all. Stay safe. Don't get corona. If you do, get over it quickly. See you.